Hi, everybody. Matt Lawton here, and this is the Astrological Winds channel. I'm going to take a look this week at the astrological weather report for the week of October 21st through the 27th. And not as much going on this week as the last week or two. Thankfully, I think we could all use a little bit of a break, if anything, from the way the astrological weather's been. Really intense full moon last week. I know a lot of people were feeling that. And this week, we've got four different distinct energies. And one of the big things in the week is the sun is going into Scorpio also. But also that Jupiter Chiron sextile that I talked about 2 weeks ago is going to get re-triggered this week too. So those are going to be two of the four things I talk about. But before I do that, I want to just take care of a little bit of business. The Astrological Winds channel is a free video blog that I do on YouTube every week. And I would love for you to become a follower if you like what you see and you have a YouTube account. And if you do become a follower, don't forget to turn on your notifications so that you know when the blog is being posted. That's usually late Sunday, early Monday. Also, it was a podcast long before it was a video blog. So it is still available on podcasts too. Just look it up, Astrological Winds channel on your favorite podcast. It's also on Instagram under the Astrological Winds channel. So if you have an Instagram account, you can become a follower there too. It'll come up in your newsreel every week. And then sometimes I do post some extra comments sometimes in Instagram during the week too. And also I have it posted on my newsreel on Facebook. That is a private account. If you want to friend me there, it's Matthew with two T's, Lawton, Lauten, and I'll try to get over and get you on that, and they'll show up in your newsreel every week. And the other best way to find it besides YouTube is on my website. I embed it every week and I leave the old ones up for a while. So if you need to go back and hear one of the old ones or refer to one of the old ones again, you can always check that out. And that's www.astrologicalwinds.com, all one word, but no channel. So it's just astrologicalwinds.com. And that also shows all my professional services there. That's a great way for you to support me when you're ready for a reading or someone you know is ready for a reading. Check the website out. The menu is there. The prices are there. If it's a little over your budget, don't be afraid to contact me and we can work some kind of deal out. And otherwise, the other great way you can support me, and I ask everybody to do this, is to pass this blog's link along when we're done. And, and I'm offering a free service. So that's the best way you can help me pay it forward. So someone that you think might be interested in your contact list, I asking you to please pass it along. And I really appreciate that. If you'd like to give a donation to the blog, no amount is too small. And my Venmo handle is the symbol @ the A with the circle in it. And then Matthew, once again, Matthew, capital M, and then a hyphen in the middle. And then it's Lawton, Lauten, capital L. And every $5 you put in, I offer gives you an opportunity to win a free reading, actually, too, at the end of the year. I'm going to be doing a drawing on that. And so that may be one way to get a reading, too. And like I said, get you in that drawings. Anyway, I want to get to the week. So 21st to the 27th is, this week. And there's four different things, all of them like different energies this week that are, but they're not really running concurrently. They're kind of running consecutively. So like four different kinds of energies running. And I'd like to get into each one of them. And it starts on Monday and Tuesday, today and tomorrow. There's two really nice trines, what I think that are going to work really well together. And the first one is Mercury is trining Saturn. The other one is Venus trining the North Node. And I really think this is Monday and Tuesday are just ideal days for business relationships that are stable, serious, getting things done, getting agreements worked out, coming together with your group that's like, relating to some business activity or project that group is around. So it could be just your team that you're working with at work, but the ability to really get the get the work done in very detailed ways, to take care of business, basically, to really hammer in and get all the things done in your planning, in your organizing, getting down to the nitty gritty of what has to be done within these groups. So it's one of these situations where I think the Venus with the North Node is going to bring in a group mind energy with it too, where the sum of the parts will be great. You know, the sum of the total, the sum of the whole will be greater than the parts, is what I'm trying to say there. And so, like, I think it's one of these things where we can really build projects that are going to stand up for the test of time. And we may not get like these instantaneous results that are like, wow, you know, this is fabulous, but we'll see that we're stepping in the right direction, right? And we're you know, we're rolling up the sleeves, and we're like on the right path. And you know, just like any of the issues that we've been having with some of these things, we can now see the answers. You know, even complex issues, we can really start to unwrap all the complexity within that and find the answers in the details. So it's really a good time to see that. And we'll start to see, you know, this is where we really want practical results in the real world, where our minds are really in the intellect, really in the detail, not really in so much the creative zone, but already working with the creative ideas and like editing them, you know, going through them with a fine-tooth comb, and like, this is what we have to do to make this work, you know. So just excellent for all your business connections, for getting support too in business. Like if you need help from other people who are professionals and stuff like that. But it's really can control our emotions. So that's why it really favors these business relationships. So like I said, I think Monday and Tuesday, you know, that's prime time to work on that stuff and further your projects and get your groups going. Now, also on Tuesday, the sun is having a really big day too. And this is going to be the biggest, toughest thing of this week, is the sun in its exact square to Pluto. And they're both at the critical 30th degree. If you remember, Pluto, right, went direct not too long ago, October 12th, and right at that 30th degree, and is only in Capricorn, what, 12 more weeks at that point. So it's only, we're down to 10 more weeks, really, or maybe even less at this point. And this is a time where they're both at the end of their sign. It's what we call a critical degree. It's what I call, like, you either graduate or you get left behind in the lessons that Sun Pluto is trying to teach us. And it's a square. So there's a lot of tension. There's a lot. And so what is it all about? What it's all about, both on in our individual lives, and we can see this reflected so much better right now in society, although I'm sure we can all see it in our individual lives too, is the need to make some great changes. The need to, like, get rid of structures and systems and things on all levels, physical, abstract, you name it, emotional, whatever it may be, that are not working for us anymore. And it should be obvious. It's almost like you're banging your head against the wall. And if you think that these old ways are going to rescue you in a time where things are changing very dramatically out there, you're wrong. You know, and that's what Sun Square Pluto is going to show us. It's going to keep pounding us over and over again if we keep going back and trying to control situations the way we used to do it, trying to use our power to control our environment and other people. We are going to get so angry and frustrated inside and feel like all of life is up against us. And what we need to do in this situation is to recognize those structures, those forms, those ideas that are falling apart. You know what they are inside you. No one else can tell you what these are. It's the deep stuff that's triggering. It's the stuff you're feeling very dramatic about, that's eliciting dramatic reactions from you and others when you're not getting your way, right? Those are the things that are not working anymore. And if you want to keep trying to cycle back like two political parties in the United States do, like different countries in the world do, then you're going to find yourself in nonstop power struggle. And it's not going to be pleasant. It's going to be angering. It's going to be resentful. It's going to be vengeful. It's going to be possibly violent, even. Right? So we need to be really real with this. This is like a time when we really are being tested by life for our own validity. How real are you being? And it's coming from multiple places. It's coming from the inside where you're seeing a lot of the stuff that's driving you, that subconscious and a repeating pattern that's led to a point of possibly absurdity at this point, in trying to keep control of a situation through old structures that just don't fit anymore. So it's reached this end point, and so, like, and then from the outside, where people and situations are poking at our weak spots and really getting us angry inside. Scorpio angry kind of energy, Pluto, Scorpio time of the year that this is going on. And a lot of a lot of times can come from people who are authorities in our life, who know our weak spots and can really, really push us. And, so really, this is all about life saying to you, prove yourself, prove it. Prove that that your position is valid. And if you're recognizing that it may not be that valid in certain places, that's where you got to purge that stuff out. And what happens, right? What happens when you purge stuff out? You create a vacuum. And what happens in a vacuum, right? New energy rushes in. That's the natural process of that. New energy rushes in to take the place of what you've purged out. And that energy is transformative. It's growth oriented. It's experiential. And it's going to take you to new places. It's like what rises from the ashes of what you purged out is this new, all of a sudden, energy that sparks the creative imagination so that it can take off with wings and take new things and bring them to new places. But as long as you're holding on to old stuff, that can't happen. The room isn't there to make it happen. So it's like there's time. This is one of those times where you really have to measure that stuff. And then when you can purge it out, now all of a sudden you're back into a new powerful place where you see the things that were blocking you. And we can see it, what blocks other people too under this situation, individuals, groups. There's so much that we can see, and it's a time when we can see those things, where we can reform them, where we can repair them, where we can, bring them to a new place. Otherwise, we have to be really careful, and we're going to end up like in power struggles that are nonstop, and life is going to be very, very difficult, very difficult. And if you try to do that, you can literally bring about your own self-destruction. It may come through the hands of another's or some other means, but it's your inability to let go of patterns and things no longer working and that have fallen into a complete state of decay. And somehow you think that the old ways are still going to make it right. And like I said, we can see this going on in society so clearly right now, right? So then later in the day on Tuesday, the sun goes into Scorpio. How fitting we get this energy going right into Scorpio, the sun, because that's 30 days of looking very deeply into ourselves, what makes us tick, recognizing the subconscious energy and seeing that in others too, really, really deeply. So it's a time of very, very deep emotions. We may not express them very much unless we're really triggered, but we're sure feeling intense emotions inside, and that can run the gamut from passion. Remember, Scorpio is the second sign on the relationship side of the zodiac. Libra may have met people, made new connections with people. Now we go into the Scorpio zone where we can get very deep and passionate with these connections with others. But if it's disturbing connections, if it's old connections that are falling apart, then it can fall into drama, into power struggles, into using things like possession and the seven deadly sin type stuff, jealousy, envy, all that stuff as weapons against other people in relationships that we're angry with because they have reached a point where they're just like very upsetting to us and they're stuck. Remember, Scorpio is about being fixated on certain emotions and obsessive, not being able to get beyond them. And one of the good things about the Scorpio energy is the ability to get to the bottom of everything that you're interested in. So you really have a very research penetrating deep mind. And that's the best way to use this energy, to look at that in yourself, see where that's what's driving you, and then recognizing that in others and finding out, like, is this a person I want in my atmosphere, if that's kind of like where they're coming from, or is it someone that I can create a really deep, passionate connection with, so we have to be really careful with that. But some of the things, other that we'll find interesting: human mind study, psychology, the occult, the macabre, mysteries, bloodlines, power, money, secret things, hidden things. These are all the things that Scorpio is spending a lot of its time really, just focused on. And it has an incredible focus. That is something where anything we want to investigate and research right now is really where the way we should use this energy, and just honing in on those deeper, more intimate, intense relationships that are bringing a lot of passion and transformation and change into your life. That's really the best way to use it, instead of using it as an obsessive, possessive type of tool. All right, so that is going to be really the biggest challenging things. Now, there's two other things I want to talk about this week. On Thursday, we have this really interesting Mars sextile Uranus. This is a really good aspect for breaking out of our ruts, for wanting to experience something new, for initiating actions of new experiences and living them deeply. Anything that will tie us down, we're going to try to break away from. And that includes people too. We might find some new people to have new experiences with, because other people are just like, kind of like in a rut as far as like their relationship with us. So we bring in new stuff that's going to stimulate us, that's going to motivate us. We want to activate. And this is a type of day where there's a lot of condensed energy, or compressed energy. So when it comes out, it has the ability to move a lot of things in a short bit of time. It's like, another way to say it is explosive, but with the sextile, it's a controlled explosion. Like you can really, move a lot of stuff without like upsetting the apple cart or making like chaotic waves in the environment. It can really, so you really want to seek out something new, do it yourself, or, get some kind of new input that helps you see things differently. It helps us adjust our viewpoints on things. I think that, like, bringing in new people, new experiences does that. It helps us see things differently. And it's also the energy of a freedom and seeking energy. So it's willing to live and let live. It's not like this rebellious freedom where I'm going to just like do anything to break away. But it's like, it's the freedom of like, yeah, everybody's got a special thing and we should all like appreciate that for one another. So it brings a lot of innovative actions, a good day to work with technology too, and in science and things like that. You can be very exactly, and what's interesting too, Mars is also in involved in a minor aspect with Venus that day. It's sesquiquadrate Venus. And that could show that, some of the blocked energy that this Mars Uranus is moving away from is some of the maybe older relationships going back to that Scorpio stuff that's kind of stuck. And it's just like, okay, well, I just need to wait for this situation to change, and I'm just going to move on. And that energy too can also be a lot of the motivating spark behind wanting to do stuff with the Mars Uranus. It's like gives a little bit of an edge to want to do something creatively. Now, the weekend I think is going to be really, really kind of a real good weekend to get some serious work done, going back to that Jupiter Chiron sextile. And if you remember, I talked about that at length, yeah, a couple weeks ago when it happened exactly, and when other planets were triggering it. And so this weekend, Mercury is going to trigger it, where it's going to get on the long midpoint of Jupiter Chiron sextile with two quincunxes. And like I've said before, this is more of a fatalistic energy when this comes on. And what I mean by that, we're kind of like being taken along for a ride. And the best way to do that is to let that ride go. Don't try to take over the ride. It's trying to bring us to a destination that we might not be able to get to by ourselves. And with Jupiter Chiron, that's really good. It's widening and broadening our perspective. It's opening up our attitudes so that we can find new ways to learn on all levels, spiritual, emotional, physical, material, new ways to learn that can come in. This. So when Mercury gets involved, it brings the mind into it, and it can give the mind some very far-reaching insights, very penetrating insights, understanding situations in a new light, seeing things in a completely different new way, and it really sparks the creative intellectual energy. And so we can take in more, we tolerate more from others and from information that we normally want, and we end up wanting to adjust our philosophical attitudes about things. And that is what those are the new ways to learn. We reevaluate a lot of those outdated ideas. And notice how that fits in really well with the Sun square Pluto and that Sun Scorpio energy, getting rid of those old forms. This will help us do that. This will help us make those changes. This is one of those things too, where with Jupiter and Mercury and Chiron, you have to live up to your ideals. If you don't, you're going to look like a fool or a hypocrite, and something out there will happen. If you're trying to hide something, it's going to make you look like that. So got to be really careful not to be, live up to your own standards here, or you're going to get flamed out somehow by it. And once again, you see that happening in the world all the time with like in the politics and everything. So really this energy is good for thinking big. It really is, but it's saying don't overlook those details or you're going to get tripped up. Don't adopt some know-it-all attitude or you're going to get tripped up. Discipline your habits, tighten your ship, adjust your attitude, that kind of thing. If you do that, this energy will work really, really well. And you are going to get a lot of new understandings and learn so much about your life on all kinds of different levels. And that's where the beneficial healing of the Chiron part comes in. So I think next weekend is one of those weekends where if you can put yourself in one of those healing spaces somewhere where you can get input, be tolerant, and come in with an open frame of mind, you can get some serious insights and perceptions that can really catapult you on that roller coaster ride of like I said, it's a little fatalistic, and bring you to a point where you can really adjust some philosophies and attitudes. And what does that do? It helps the Sun square Pluto. It helps that Pluto make the adjustment from Capricorn into Aquarius, where we all find our right place and we bring the world into a new place. We're going to do this. We're going to do this together. It's going to happen one way or another. And there's a lot of great changes going on. And so, like, and even the Mars Uranus, we're getting those insights. There's the opportunity to use them, to initiate, to do something new with it, right? And don't forget these first 2 days of this week, those business projects, really work on them, get those details done. All right, you guys, it's a good week, really. I know the Sun Pluto is intense, but we're going into that age of Aquarius. We've been going in it now for like almost, in my opinion, 95 years, through the cusp of a 200-year cusp of it. We're dead center. Of course, the energy is going to be really intense and weird. We're going through a rebirthing, and that's what that Pluto's about. So like we have Jupiter and Chiron trying to help us out here. We're gonna have a lot of perceptions this week with the mind, and like it's going to really show us a lot of new understandings that we can take in and add to our knowledge base and turn them into wisdom, turn them into healing, turn them into like where you want to really go in this life. All right, I appreciate all you guys so much. Please pass the blog along to somebody else. Please come and see me when you're ready for a reading. It will be just as amazing as these readings I give every week. I promise you that. So many people, so much great change that it's so helpful. Your chart never leaves you. If you've never had it done professionally, it's a lot different than getting a computer printout or reading a book yourself or having some friend who read a book. Get it done. And there's all kinds of other services too. Get your yearly done. Check the website, www.astrologicalwins.com. Please, become a follower if you're not on YouTube, on Instagram too. Any donation that you'd like to give, please, help out. And that's great too. And most importantly, please pass this link on to somebody else right now. Thank you guys. I appreciate you all so much. Next week, let me just think here. We're going to do the monthly next week too. We're going into November, right? Yeah, so we got that. And then we will have a new moon next week too, right? We'll have the new moon in Scorpio. So a couple things right there that I'll be talking about. Probably be a little bit deeper one next week, a little bit longer. So look forward to that. I will see you all then. Appreciate you all so much. Take care now.